It's the humiliation that Prince Harry never saw coming, and perhaps the most symbolic one yet. Rejected. Denied. Shut out of a royal moment of deep emotional significance, not by tabloid headlines or royal courtiers, but by the two men whose forgiveness he claims to crave most, King Charles and Prince William. According to RadarOnline, the Duke of Sussex, once the mischievous darling of the monarchy, now its greatest liability, was told in no uncertain terms to stay put in California and refrain from attending the funeral of Graham Craker, the trusted royal bodyguard who was with Harry the very day Princess Diana tragically died. It was not merely a snub. It was a message. Loud, clear, and devastating. You burned the bridges. Don't try to cross them now. For Harry, whose public life has become an unraveling tangle of self-inflicted wounds and tone-deaf decisions, this latest rejection is nothing short of catastrophic. It exposes not only how irreparably fractured his relationship with the monarchy has become, but also how unwelcome he now is at events tied to the very legacy he claims to cherish, his mother's. To be barred from the funeral of the man who helped shield him on the darkest day of his life? That isn't royal protocol. That's payback. And perhaps, finally, accountability. Harry's indignation, reportedly seething over being excluded, isn't surprising. But it's also the height of entitlement. Because after years of trashing the institution, vilifying his own family on global platforms, leaking grievances to the press while demanding privacy and profiting from the legacy of his trauma, what exactly did he expect? An open-armed welcome at a private family funeral? A warm seat in the pews next to the father and brother he's publicly humiliated? Let's remember who Graham Craker was, not just to the royal household but to Harry personally. Craker was a trusted and respected protection officer, part of the elite royal security detail. He was present during the harrowing hours surrounding Diana's death and played a pivotal role in ensuring young William and Harry were shielded from the media frenzy and public hysteria that followed. If anyone deserved Harry's gratitude and dignity, it was Craker. But even this moment of solemn remembrance has been polluted by the toxic trail Harry continues to drag behind him. There's a deeper symbolism in this rejection, one that exposes the sheer hollowness of Harry's narrative. For years, he has portrayed himself as a broken son, defined by the trauma of losing his mother. He's made Diana his shield, his excuse, his currency. From Spare to Oprah to Netflix documentaries and Spotify rants, Harry has built an entire brand off being the grief-stricken prince frozen in time. But now, when the man who stood by his side during that grief is being laid to rest, Harry is told to stay away. Why? Because even the mourning of his past has become too politicized, too radioactive, too hairy. And here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't an isolated incident. It's the culmination of a pattern. Harry and Meghan's scorched earth campaign against the monarchy has made reintegration impossible. It's not just about what they said. It's about what they chose to say when they said it and how they monetized it. The Oprah interview, released while Prince Philip was on his deathbed. The Netflix docuseries, filled with petty accusations and dramatic reenactments. The memoir Spare, which not only attacked Camilla and William but even ridiculed Queen Elizabeth's final days. You cannot vilify your family publicly and then expect private invitations to their sacred moments. That's not how trust works. That's not how family works. And that's certainly not how the British monarchy operates. Sources say Harry pleaded to attend the funeral, citing personal ties and shared history. But the answer was firm, no. It wasn't just about optics, it was about boundaries. King Charles, facing his own health crisis, is said to be deeply weary of his youngest son's unpredictability. Prince William, who has taken the brunt of Harry's attacks, has reportedly drawn a hard line. After years of olive branches trampled underfoot, their decision signals that the era of appeasement is over. Actions have consequences, even for a prince. What's more revealing is the deafening silence from Harry's camp since the reported snub. No performative grief posts, no passive-aggressive leaks, no tell-all podcast episodes. Just silence, a rare thing for the Duke of Disclosure. But make no mistake, that silence is not respect. It's damage control. Because even Harry must realize that public sympathy is dwindling, and every new episode of estrangement only reinforces the same brutal truth. He did this to himself. Let's also talk about the profound irony here. Harry, once lauded as the people's prince, is now more isolated from both the public and his family than ever before. He sits in Montecito, surrounded by celebrity pals and PR consultants, yet cannot even cross the Atlantic to attend a funeral without stirring controversy. He has traded proximity to duty for the illusion of independence, yet remains desperate for relevance in the very institution he renounced. Even more damning is how Harry has failed to evolve. After 5 years in exile, we've seen no growth, no self-awareness, no meaningful redemption arc. He remains trapped in a cycle of grievance and self-pity, continually weaponizing the past without acknowledging the damage he's caused. The royal family has moved on. Britain has moved on. But Harry remains anchored to a narrative that no longer serves him, and no longer convinces anyone. There's also the practical reality. Harry is no longer a working royal. He gave up that right when he and Meghan chose to exit. And with that choice came the consequences: no public funding, no security, no official role, and, crucially, no automatic inclusion in family affairs. The funeral of Graham Craker wasn't a public event, it was a private moment for those still within the fold. Harry, despite his lineage, is now very much an outsider. The rejection also sends a message to the rest of the royal household: loyalty matters. Trust matters. And if you compromise those values for the sake of fame or personal gain, you are not entitled to the privileges of the past. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. For too long, Harry expected to have it both ways: the glamour of royalty without the responsibility, the platform of the crown without the loyalty it demands. That era is ending. Critics may argue that Charles and William should show compassion, that grief should transcend family feuds. But compassion has its limits and boundaries. Once crossed repeatedly, must eventually be reinforced. The monarchy, already strained by internal pressures and public scrutiny, cannot afford more drama from the Duke of Montecito. The decision to keep Harry at arm's length is not pettiness, it's preservation. And what does this mean for the future? In short, more isolation. Harry's role within the royal narrative is shrinking rapidly.